Right, so this one worked out pretty well, nice and clean. If I hit Control Y, let's go into here. You can see what the wireframe looks like of this logo. It's really clean. We have a shape up top, a shape here, here, and at the bottom. And that's really, really clean for what we wanted, right? Let's say we want to do it a different way. So I'm going to go to my layers, and remember this is on here. So I'm just going to call this layer for right now free, yeah, or let's say eyeballing, eyeballing it. And I'm just going to hide that one. And I'm going to unlock this one so I can just take this and move it here and line it up right along the edge like that, as close as I can. Great. And I'll lock it back down. Now I'll make another layer. And on this layer, let's just try to go over it. So if I were making these shapes as is, then I would actually do it this way. Let's go back to the elliptical tool. Or actually, so I could do it and then match the elliptical tool. So in other words, I could go here and just say, oh, it's supposed to be, something like this. And then I line it up. Let's move the guide a little. We'll just wait for a second. But let's take this, and then we start to edit this. Oops. Grab that point. I'm holding down Shift to constrain it so it's going to one. Grab you, Shift. Start moving it, hold down Shift. And what you're seeing is I can literally just start to shape this the way that I want to. See? Then I can grab the handles. Now you'll notice when I get this one right, this one goes wonky. So that's where I need to go in and get my anchor point tool, and now I can grab this one and start to shape it right. So I can get a really, really exact look. I'm going to pull you out. Now this means I'm going in the wrong direction. So let me flip that around. I've pulled the handles out, see? And now I can just grab each individual handle. Oops, I lost that one. Hold down Control, Select, grab the other handle, and then let go. Looks good. Control to select, pull you out just a little. And now I've got that perfect shape. Look at that. So that one was pretty darn easy. And then when I just select and drag, and then I can either use the rotation tool or just go to a corner, and then you see these little double arrows come, and I can just rotate it. And now look at that. Now, if I'm going, man, I can't really see that. Let's temporarily just look at it in outline, and then we see, oh, yeah, I see that's off. So we need to shrink that down, and we need to rotate it, and then start to line it up a wee bit better. So now I can go in, grab the white arrow, the direct selection, grab a point, and then start to manipulate this so that it fits. And this is how I can really start to look at that perfect shape. If I do the same to this one, I don't want to keep these guys like this, but this allows me to really get that perfect shape. Okay. And then when I'm like, yep, that is it. That is what I'm talking about. And I get this one. Let's flip it back. And then I am simply going to Alt drag this. Now, if it is a perfect, there is an option, like I just want to flip it over. Under rotate, there's a reflect tool, which is O. And then I'm just doing like with a shift left mouse, and then that should just reflect it so that technically this guy should match perfectly with that. Let's double check. And look at that, it does. Man, so much easier, right? So now I can grab all these guys, flip them back, and now I've got that general shape, and now I can go and jump in the way that I did before, which is you grab all three of these, and then you unite them with the Pathfinder. And now they're all that one shape. And now all I'd have to do, let's temporarily swap them over so I can see through them a little easier, like so. And then I would just go in and create the rectangular shapes that I'm ultimately going to use to cut out. Right there. Right there. This one's a little off, so V. It's better. And I can always fix or adjust certain things like these guys, but for the most part, that is it. So now I'll just select all of them. Or actually, there's another way of doing it. If I select all three of these lines and combine them, and now if I select all and let's flip it so it's like this, right? And you'll see now when I click, because I united them, even though they're not technically together, they're all one shape. But just so you can see, to illustrate this, let's make it a white color so you can see. But now I can select both and then just minus the front and bam. Look at that. Sweet. So now I've got this, and that is the quick way of outlining something that if you have it, then you just make the shapes. The other way would be with the pen tool, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you see that one was actually really quick. And this is, once again, the sort of thing that you want to have where you have these nice and laid out. And if you notice, when I open up this layer, there's a group, and in that group is all these pieces. So if I go in, you see, let me hide the background so you can see what these are doing. Each of these is a separate piece. Now, for something like this one, where it's like, it was just enough that there's just a wee little piece right there, I might want to cut that because I do want them to be consistent. So I might want to go in there and just separate them. So if I go in, come on, go to the knife tool or the erase tool. Let's use the erase tool. And that brush is way too big, so I'm using the brackets on my computer really tight. Oh, that's the smallest you're going to let me get, huh? Fine. Let's try instead the knife tool. Now, sometimes it acts a little bit wonky, like so, because we're so small. And all I want to do, all right, fine, let's just do it this way. Let's use you. Bink. Just to break that up. And I know no one is going to notice, it's so tiny, but we can go in there and just fix that if we want. So if I use my white arrow, let's grab this edge and just pull it out. This one. And if you have a point, like I don't need that little point there. There's in the pen tool, I can delete an anchor point, just and then that gets rid of it. And then we can just go. Now, here's the fun part. When you see this happen, I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab this, and now everything's connected. That just means I need to use my anchor tool and pull this guy. And no one's going to notice. This is so tiny. But I didn't want these connected. And now you could see they're actually separated because I cut them and they're no longer touching. And that's going to be important when we're actually animating if I want all these parts to fly together as separate pieces, because right now they can't. They wouldn't have been able to, but now they can. So that's doing that with the cleanup. These are all now separate pieces. And ultimately what you would do is also go in and name these, but we'll do that later because there's a certain way to do it. So this one is a manual trace. So that's literally where we bring in the image, we lock it down, we draw shapes, and those shapes could have easily have been, if I hide that, let me just show you, and then we'll go to the next, using the pen tool as well. I always choose the wrong one. Where you would just click, and you could do something like this. Watch this. I'll click and drag just a little. Click and drag just a little. Click and drag. And then bring it back and just drag out to what we need, right about there. And then I would just go in and start grabbing the handles to get the shape that I want. And then right now, it's doing the seesaw thing. That means we need the anchor point to break that tangent so that, and oops, if I select this, they suck right back in because they're shy. I'm just going to click here, pull that in. If I hold down Control, it uses the last arrow I used, which you want it to be the white one, because that way I can just hold down Control, select that one to expose the handle, let go, and then just pull it out there. Hold down Control, left mouse, grab the handle. So this is the other way. Control, drag, grab the handle, Control, click, let go. So whatever it is that you need, but this is the other way of making shapes, which is toggling between the white arrow, the pen tool to create it, and then my anchor point tool to manipulate those. The next way you're really going to love, but this is just a way, so we'll call this one, pen tool trace. So the next one I'm going to show you, if you have a good sketch that has high contrast, you're really going to love.